So bad. Ruhi, kutte hai tumi? I cannot find you. I appreciate everyone commenting right now, but I wish that I could find Ruhi in these comments. Go live with Ruhi. I did something. I hope that works. Does it? Okay, this felt like a mission to Mars. I don't know why, but this was very difficult.
Difficult? I thought it was so much of a build-up.
I actually I was beginning to panic, and I almost think that I am clearly not practicing enough of yoga. There has to be an asana for getting more patient in life, and I think I'm going to have to learn that.
Sounds interesting.
Now I'm doing
But I think you're one of the most patient persons I know.
You think so?
Very patient. Yes, definitely. Absolutely.
I am so happy I'm doing this live with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here on International Yoga Day. Thank you for doing the session with me.
So for people who don't know about us, I met Ruhi on the sets of Bahubali, and I did not know that she's a yoga teacher because it was a super secret that was kept from me for very long. But she is, I mean, and she's a very dear friend, and the funny part is that I did not realize. I mean, we became friends for a while, and then we realized, and then I was like, oh, you teach yoga, you have to be teaching me yoga too. I mean, the moment we started practicing together, it just felt so right, and it was just a lot of amazing realizations. And one of the most important things that I learned from you is ahimsa for your own body, and I think that is something that I use it so firmly when I practice yoga. And today I have decided that out of all the amazing things that you've taught me, of course we will be talking a lot about that, but there are a bunch of questions that a lot of people have put out here, and I'm going to actually be asking their questions because so many people have a lot of things to ask you. Do you want to say something that you intrinsically feel about yoga, and then you want me to pull in the questions?
No, I think we'll take it as it goes, right?
Okay, done. So I'm going to ask you all the questions now, there are a bunch of them. So I think the one that I found very very interesting as a question was, can I? So this it's by Veera Raju _20089, and he asks, can I do yoga if I am not flexible? I know this sounds like clearly this person is experiencing, he's not flexible, so he wants to know whether he should be doing yoga or he can start doing yoga.
So everything and anything that you do every day will get you better. So Veera, you have to just begin, and the more you practice, it's about practice and consistency. So if you practice every day, if you practice twice a day, flexibility will come. It's as simple as that.
So you think should so what do you think of, like, should people start off with Surya Namaskars? Is that something that they can start doing to for someone who's a beginner, someone who hasn't been doing yoga, hasn't ever experienced anything in terms of yoga? Should they start with something like Surya Namaskars?
So you used a very key word, which was ahimsa.
Yeah.
So everyone first should learn your breathing. Then in the asana practice, it's a very key component to not injure your body. If you learn your breathing well, the asanas will follow, because it's important that as you move, your breath leads the movement. It's one of the principle of asanas. is to allow the breath to lead the movement. Generally, what we do is we allow the mind to rule everything, including our asana practices, and that's how we land up in getting injured.
Right.
So even if you start with Surya Namaskar is like, yes, a comprehensive movement of the spine in every direction. So it is appropriate to begin with that. But even before that, I would request you to first learn the appropriate breathing that you would need to use in the asana practice. And you can break it up. Doing Surya Namaskar is also like doing a paragraph. Why don't you start with learning how to write? Learning how each alphabet moves beautifully. That is your movement of your body. Becomes a Surya Namaskar. So when it's comprehended together, it becomes a Surya Namaskar.
Nice. I think that should have answered the question.
Yeah.
There is another, I think it's rather a cute, funny, but a very honest question, which is like, sorry, I lost the question.
So this is very Tamanna, okay?
Yeah, very, very me. I get so excited by something and I'm like, hey, where did that go?
As much as she's there with you, she's not there. She's not there at all.
I found it. Wait. Okay, so this is Shravani Reddy _ 27, and she asks, which asana will give me a flat stomach?
Okay, so there is no asana particularly that will give you a flat stomach. It is your eating habits combined with breathing and the appropriate different asanas to first strengthen your spine may give you a flat stomach. May. Okay, I'm going to use the word may because I genuinely believe that for women, we are a box of hormones. So one day you wake up feeling slim and your body feeling absolutely tight and feeling very, very fit. And one day you just wake up feeling, right? Am I right, Tamanna?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you might have just
What
worked
about the
out
days
and
you don't feel like it? Like, what about the days you don't feel like, say, doing yoga? What are the things you need to kind of, are those the days you should actually be doing yoga, or you should give your body that time to not?
so when you ask the word doing yoga, I see that everyone relates asana practice to doing yoga,
Yeah,
where actually asana practice is only 1.5% to the whole topic called yoga.
yeah,
Asana is the third limb. Patanjali, in his sutras, talks about the Ashtanga Yoga. He has set down 8 steps for us to reach to Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that is silencing the mind. The goal of yoga is not to get a flat stomach or to have a fit body. Yes, to have a fit body for us to be able to reach to nirvana. That is a silenced mind to move into samadhi. Asana is the first is the yama, niyama, and asana. So asana is only the third limb.
right.
Yeah. So asana is
So
just a
we
part
don't.
of the whole thing. So when you say that, what do I do on days that I don't feel like doing an asana practice?
Yeah,
You need to question yourself that why are there days that you don't feel like doing an asana practice? One of the principal reasons would have been unmindful eating.
yeah,
Like if you have eaten heavy in the night, you have eaten late, you have skipped your meals, you have overworked yourself. You know, there are some days where we work on stress and flight and fight mode, and then
yeah,
the next day the whole day body has been really active. The next day you're totally in a slump, and the next day you're like, look, I've done my bit, I'm not going to move today.
yeah,
So you have to ask yourself, just like when you go to a doctor and say I have a stomach pain, doctor will ask you, what did you eat, what was your life like? So go back and think, what did I do yesterday that didn't suit my body? We generally work only from the mind. We don't listen to our body. We have become insensitive. You do not find wild animals or even domestic animals that do not live under human care getting sick. They will
Yeah.
eat just the appropriate amount. They will heal themselves. When they are unwell, they will rest. But humans will run, pop a pill in their mouth, and go back to work. So we have forgotten to listen to ourselves. So the question is that it's the mind, it's not the body.
Yeah.
There are days probably where the mind has been, has, you could say, overworked the body. The mind has said, no, you have to do this, you have to do this. This is a list of jobs you have to complete. And that's why the next day the body says, I'm not going to move now. It's
So
like an any
why
relationship
do you
which is
think
running
is
over.
yoga considered something so physical? Like, apart from the fact that I know when you train me, there are days where we speak about what has happened in the day prior and what is happening at the moment in my life, and then you train me. So, uh, in when you also train your students, how important is it to understand what they're going through while you're giving them so your training is never really like it's not a planned session ki hum ye karenge. It's more like you come, you meet me, and then you realize, okay, you know what, she's feeling like this today, she needs this. So how do you and there are lots of people I know who think of yoga as being something very slow. It's not a workout. I mean, they have these ideas. So can you talk a little bit about how yoga doesn't, it's not just about the impact it has on your body, but also on your mind and your emotions and your energy? Because I think we often speak about the mind and emotions, but not so much about the energy. That the chakras that actually help us do the things that we need. And so, can you enlighten us a bit about that?
So, when you speak about how do I approach my students, this is a specialized yoga called Vini Yoga. When where we look at the person holistically, it's not that I am here to teach, so I say and you listen. It is about I share and you experience. Okay, so my sharing comes from a collective understanding of what kind of day you've had, and I work very closely with my students, be them in a group batch or in or personally when I train them. It's a deeper connection formed because I feel that it's a very big responsibility. It's not just putting my student in a few postures where they get a great body and that's it. No, I think it's a great responsibility being a teacher. So it's very important for me to understand you completely, which takes a lot more. Sometimes it's not possible to understand another human being, but it is easy to understand your student's breath.
Right.
So it's your breath that gives you away.
तो से दैट सपोजिंग आप सोचिए, अगर एक ऐसा दिन है कि मैं बहुत स्ट्रेस में हूँ, मुझे बहुत टेंशन है, तो क्या अगर मैं अपने ब्रेथ का पेस बदलूं, तो क्या मैं जो इमोशन एक्सपीरियंस कर रही हूँ वो मैं बदल सकती हूँ?
Zarur, Zarur. Because science has directly proven that the number of breaths you take is the pace at which your mind is working.
Right.
Okay, so what we can do is breathing is it's a process that we can manipulate. So that's why we call it a controlled breathing, where we breathe to get the benefit for our body and for ourselves. तो आप कहोगे तो जब से मैं when you are born you are breathing, till now what was I doing?
Correct.
So the basic understanding is that when I was born, each human being, the natural breathing is through the abdomen. When you see a baby lying down and sleeping, you see the belly going up and down, right? So the breathing is happening through the abdomen. But the lungs is the machinery for your breathing. And when you breathe into the lungs, that is into the chest, you give the machinery its electricity. It's as simple as that. It's like my hand is meant to move, but if it does not move, it's not doing its job. You see? So giving the energy, where you give the energy, you were talking about the energy, right? So
Yeah.
giving the energy to the appropriate areas in your body. You know, when you open the door and you have people walk in, not everyone goes into your bedroom, not
Yeah,
everyone goes into your kitchen and your bathrooms.
yeah,
Each person in your life or in your home has an appropriate place.
yeah,
In the same way, when you direct the prana into the chest on an inhalation, and when you are exhaling, if you draw it out of the lower abdomen, which is the navel below area of the body, that is the most appropriate sthanam for the prana to
right.
give you the maximum benefit that you can get in your body. That's when you start, you see some people really vibrate. Okay, when you talk about chakras, you mentioned chakras, they are like the powerhouses of your house. You know, when the light goes, what does mom say? Acha Van, go and check electricity board, check karo pehle. Right? So when you have a chakra which is right in the center of your forehead, if you just connect with this one, this takes care of everything in this area. When you take care of this one takes care of every organ in this area. So instead of us dealing with every organ individually, we've been given managers in the body. And when you breathe and direct the prana, it helps the adjoining organ to function properly. So that's how, even there are days by just your breathing, you may not feel like moving physically because you're tired already. You have moved the limbs too much. So, how can you energize yourself? You need to learn to lengthen your inhalation and make it subtle. So a deep inhalation and a deep exhalation. What did our parents teach us when we were younger? If we got all hyper and spoke too fast, they'd say stop and breathe.
So, do you think it's got to do with being aware of your own self throughout the day? Like, uh, when we practice yoga, do we slowly start achieving a sense of awareness throughout the day of how we are feeling, of our breath, and consciously directing ourselves towards whatever we want to achieve in the day? You think when we do yoga or practice yoga, does that help us become more conscious and aware?
Yes, it does. But when you use the word doing yoga, is a very broad sense.
Yeah,
The key in your body for everything is your breath. If
right,
you can hold on to your breath well, become very aware of your breath, it will bring mindfulness into everything else that you do. When you
right,
speak, whatever you eat, how you respond to somebody else, everything becomes very mindful. So automatically, when you become mindful, you will change the quality of your life. You will be particular what you eat, who you hang out with, what you say to people,
yeah,
how you think, what kind of thoughts you carry, what kind of goals do you place for yourself, and how do you achieve them. That all changes the whole quality. When you become aware of something as, you could say, small as your breath, but it makes such a big change in your life. And then it's the yamas, the niyamas. The yamas are your personal equations, the niyamas. So all this together comprehensively. But they are ye kiya to ye hoga, ye kiya to ye hoga. They are all hand in glove.
right,
Like when you do the asana practice, there are principles that you need to follow. Breath leading the movement, ahimsa. The 2 second pause that you give in your breathing. What we do is we just breathe, breathe, breathe. We inhale, we exhale, we inhale, we exhale. So what happens is at the end of the day, the breath has become so short.
right.
But instead, if we inhale and just hold it for a second or two and then exhale, we bring more mindfulness into our breathing. That really helps to pull up everything around you. Because if you become mindful about your breath, you will become mindful of how you speak, of what you eat, of how you relate to people in every area. And a mindful person is an extremely happy person.
Yes, I think that should be the goal of everything. We have to be happy at the end of whatever we are trying
True.
to do, because
True.
Otherwise, why are we after it, right?
Why are we after anything? Yeah.
So we have some more questions because I've actually been bombarded by quite a few of them for you. Uh,
Can we
I'm
take
just
some short questions, some direct questions?
Yes, yes, exactly. So I guess a lot of people have had COVID and have had, had already experienced COVID and post COVID, what is the kind of yoga that they should incorporate in their lives? I mean, I guess I think we could talk about breathing because especially post COVID care, how to, use yoga to help you recover. And I mean, for the record, I should be telling that when I had just recovered from COVID, it was us. We had been training.
Yes.
We had started
Yes.
breathing. There were times I could not even lift my body, but we had
Yes.
just started breathing, and that had actually helped me get back into some momentum. And of course, it took me 6 7 months to come back to my
Yeah.
normal, level of intensity in terms of strength. But could you enlighten us about post-COVID care in terms of yoga?
So again, what happens is, you see, how do you actually know that the COVID is affecting you badly? Is your oxygen level starts falling,
Yeah,
right? So that means, what is the infection doing? It's actually attacking the lungs,
yeah,
right? So it is, again, it's like, you don't, if when you don't use it, you lose it. So you have to again bring back the discipline on your breath.
yes,
You have to bring your discipline back to your breath, where again you follow ahimsa even in the breath. Because if you inhale too long, you see, there are three components in your breath. You inhale, you pause, you exhale, and you pause again. So if you break any one of them, if you make the inhale too long or you pause too long, you're going to not have any energy to exhale. You
right,
have to respect that each one has a place and you cannot break the rhythm. But when you breathe in a very appropriate proportion, which is comfortable to your body, you will be able to sustain. Because post COVID, your body is weak. You're physically feeling very weak, very tired. You're unable to move. See, again, I have a lot of COVID students who will be very enthusiastic, because you have to understand, your mind and your body are not on the same platform.
correct.
In the mind, we think we can do a lot, we
Yeah,
can achieve a lot,
yeah,
but the body is not supporting you. This is post COVID.
yeah,
And then there are a lot of people who think, I can do nothing, but the body can achieve a lot.
yeah,
So you're not in balance with yourself. You're either underusing your body or you're overusing your body.
correct.
It's either this or it's that.
Yeah,
So you have to go back to your breathing. Post COVID, also, you have to begin with the breath.
okay. Now there is Hosu Anirudh who asks, what's the motivation for youngsters to get into yoga? I mean, I guess we can talk about how stressful our lives are, right? So, for youngsters, what should be their motivation to start doing yoga?
So the motivation for a young person is that you have to ask them first, what do they want from their lives? Is it a short term goal you have for your life, or is it a long term goal for your life? When I started working with my body, that's 30 years ago, I always wanted to work in a certain manner. And even today, that when I am 40 years from now, I should be still able to do what I do today. So, till a certain age, you really invest, because you are like a tree. You are a seed first, you turn into a plant, you are into a young tree, and then you become a solid tree. But what do you do when you are a tree completely? You preserve your body. You don't keep chopping at your roots. And when you're still a plant, you don't try to go up there. You start from below. So you invest. For youngsters, you need to build your strength. You need to have good nutrition. When you start dieting, what kind of diet are you following? What are you looking for? Superficially, we're looking for a great body to look good, but the mind is hollow. My feelings are all extremely confused, and I don't have a long term goal for myself. I want to have a goal where at 45 and 65, I want to still look the same. So, where motivation for a youngster is that where do you want to go? Where do you want to be? Because you're still a young plant. So,
Right.
you somewhere we want to grow to be the old oak tree,
Right.
right? So, the oak tree has the hugest bark,
Right.
okay, but it was just a plant at one point. So
Yeah.
it's investment in yourself. You have to understand that whatever you do today, whether it's your breath or your body you work with, it's all investment period. You cannot waste your life. So it's about investment in yourself. That has to be your motivation, that what am I putting in is what I'm going to be 10 years and 20 years from now. Because there might just be some phases in your life where you're not going to be able to keep a balanced diet. You may be bogged down with a lot of work, where you may not be able to physically comply to your routine that you did when you were younger.
Yeah.
So you invest when you can, and then you live off it, and then you invest again. It's a lifelong going process.
Correct.
It's not, it never stops. It never stops. If you think, okay, I'll just work for a few years and then I'm going to reap it, no, it doesn't. Like, it's just like money. When you earn money, you can't live off it all your life.
All your life. True that.
You're going to have to always keep sustaining and doing something with it, right?
Absolutely. So there are a lot
So,
more
what,
coming your way.
Tamanna, you started yoga very young.
Yeah.
What motivated you to stick to it?
I
You should have the answer that the youngsters are looking for.
Well, actually, for me, it started off like you said. It was more about I just wanted to look a certain way, but only to realize that I started after whatever practice I've been doing now. It's been I think at least 7, 8 years maybe, and I feel like the practice has made me realize that it's more to help me. It is the prep I do before actually doing any activity. It could be emotionally intensive. It could be physically challenging. It's the prep. It's what gets me into like if I have to do a workout or if I have to do something physically strenuous, I'd want to do yoga before because my body is now ready to load on that stress or take on the work. So I think a lot of people in these stressful times in their life they think अरे हम टाइम कैसे निकाले हम योगा को टाइम कैसे दे हमारा दिन ही इतना लंबा है हमारे पास इतना काम है not realizing that if you actually do yoga you are just more productive, you're just more aware, you're a lot more alert, you have a lot more energy. And also I realized that it has a huge impact on my emotions, it has a huge impact on how I feel. It lifts me up, it makes me feel more enthusiastic towards so many things that I might not otherwise be you know energetic towards. So I think it has changed me in that standpoint. And I also feel like it helps you direct things inward, which is essentially anyone who's a seeker or anyone who wants to who is someone who um, looks for a spiritual journey will always want to look inward. So actually yoga gave me the chance to look inward and see. I never went to a college or educated myself on films or movies, but my entire experience comes from actually looking at my own self and understanding my own body, understanding my own mind, understanding my own emotions. And that's what I've been using all this while to, to play my characters or to, to do whatever I do in front of a camera. So it was just, so what yoga helped me is to understand myself better. So I feel like for the youth today, if you want to do whatever you're doing in your life, you probably want to know yourself better. So the quest is only to go inward and to understand what is inside you and who are you. So I think yoga kind of helped me discover all that. So yeah, I think it's something that people should, it starts with physicality, but there is, as you go deeper into it, there is it also teaches you how to, like you said, you can dictate your daily emotion by just by merely having a control over your breath. Like I remember there are times when I've been shooting in a very hot place And whenever I am shooting in that kind of an environment, you've come and you've made me do, if I'm saying this correctly, is it Shitali Pranayam?
Yeah, it's the Shitali Pranayama.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's something
Yes.
where you kind of are almost like breathing, you're cooling down the air and taking it inside your system, and you're actually cooling your internal body, which in turn also affects the way
Calms
you're
the
feeling,
mind.
calms the mind. And even though the external environment might be hot and difficult for the body to get used to, the internal system is cooling it down to keep everything in place.
Yes.
So yeah, so things like these, which I think are very memorable in my experience. So there is this one person who's asked about pregnancy and yoga, which I would want to get back to. Mm,
It's a very important phase in a mother's life.
yeah. So
And
what about women who are pregnant in this pandemic and also want to start doing yoga? What should they be doing?
so they have to get hold of a good teacher. It's
Yeah.
very, very important because you'd rather have a great teacher, not even a good teacher, a great teacher. Otherwise, I have no teacher at all.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there's a lot of knowledge that floats around on the internet, and there are lots of half-baked potatoes and half-boiled eggs that walk around the place. So I think you have to be more wary these days about a yoga teacher.
So,
Then
रूही,
so yeah, it's
मतलब
very
लोग
important
कैसे
that
समझें,
you
लोग
connect.
कैसे समझे कि एक योगा टीचर एक और योगा टीचर से बेटर है? ये कैसे, ये समझ कैसे एक इंसान में आती है कि एक एक योगा टीचर दूसरे योगा टीचर से बेटर है? I mean,
So what is most important in yoga is to have experience.
yeah,
Because yoga is really about your breath and how your breath changes every day. So, if a teacher does not know her own breath, it's very difficult for her to understand the breath of her student.
yeah,
If a teacher has not understood herself, or if he has not understood himself,
yeah,
but just gaining the knowledge, getting the certificate, and just being up there, it's not enough. It's
right,
just like when you're freshly studied from a great university, you have all the knowledge, but you do not have the experience. It's very important to be attached to an experienced teacher. So experienced teacher with appropriate amount of knowledge is important. Both go hand in hand. One without the other is incomplete. It's very important that you have an experienced teacher who has worked with students. It's very important, like just when you go out and you buy a product, you ask, you check the durability, you check the quality, you check the price. Do they all match?
yeah,
Only then you go and buy it, right? But you
yeah,
don't pick a teacher, oh, okay, this teacher is cheap, this teacher is available, okay, you don't do that, right? If
correct,
you go to buy something for your child, yes, you have a budget in mind, but you still want the best. And if you have to wait, you would wait,
yeah,
right? So that's important for you to get hold of a teacher that's equally experienced and knowledgeable.
right,
So that is a criteria for someone who's pregnant, because you are in a very vulnerable stage.
yeah,
And another thing is important is where you work with a teacher who's also been pregnant, who also has children.
that's
Because you have a lot of teachers who say, yes, I teach yoga, I teach pregnant women. But if you have, like I said, if you have been through your own breath, you should have experienced a delivery yourself, gone through
yeah,
the ups and downs of a pregnancy yourself to
yeah,
even comprehend what your student is saying.
yeah,
Because it's just hear and say, okay, yes, you're in the 5th month. Clinically, on the 5th month, this should be happening, that should be happening. But by experience, it's just like when you go to a gynac, we prefer going to a gynac who is much older, who's
yeah,
done a lot of deliveries,
correct.
right? So same way, I think that's how you pick up a yoga teacher when you're pregnant.
So, Ruhi, there's another question which says, this is by Aniket Nayak, the Aniket Nayak, that's his account. How to solve lower back problems with yoga? I think that's another common question that has been asked a lot. Like lower back problems
Aniket,
are common today,
lower back problems, a lot of them also come from bad eating. It's a lot of gas.
right?
It's a very different way of approaching it. But when we eat food that cause gas, there's a lot of gas that gets formed in the lower abdomen. But yes, you need to see a doctor. You need to get your scanning done. You need to know exactly what is happening inside the body. So even if a student comes to me with a backache, I insist that they see their doctor, get an X-ray done, and first take the opinion of your doctor before you come running to a yoga teacher. Okay,
Right.
it's important because you have to understand a yoga teacher has her limitations. She's not a doctor. So
Correct.
you can't run every time you have had something, you can't call your teacher and say now what to do. You first call your doctor.
Right.
And once you have, because it's every individual is different, your system is different, your back issue is special because you are special. Vinny Yoga, personalized advice has to be given. I cannot give a general advice like this because the back is a
Ruhi,
very important part of your body.
correct. Ruhi, there's another question that's again frequently asked, and I think I've also come across a lot of people wanting to know about this aspect. Uh, this is asked by Momitas _02, and she's asking, is yoga beneficial for overcoming anxiety and depression? If yes, then
Oh,
which
yes.
asana will reduce those? Because I think also in this whole pandemic time, there is a lot of stress, and people are really experiencing a lot of mental health issues, which are not being given as much importance. So is yoga something that people can reach out to for help?
Yes, definitely. Anxiety, depression, they're all mental illnesses. In our Indian culture, we do not recognize them as being sick. So, if you have a cough, cold, fever is a greater illness than having depression. So, I'm very glad that whoever's asked the question understands that this is a real issue. It is very real. It's as real as having a cold and a cough. And it is very possible that it reoccurs all the time.
Is there
If
an
you do not
asana
have
that
a
you can
sign.
do? Is there an asana that you can do that can help?
So there's not one particular asana that can be done, but when you do a complete course of asanas with the appropriate breathing, that itself works on the hormones.
Right.
The breathing itself works on your hormones, expands the lungs, expands the chest, opens up the body, opens up the chakras. It brings in, it raises your energy levels. What is depression? Depression is suppressed energy.
Yeah.
It's all down there. So that is why the feeling is very low.
Yeah.
Anxiety is a lot of, or, when you have too much of expectation out of your situation,
Yeah.
or you're unable to deal with it, that everything, it's basically just taking yourself too seriously.
Right.
So anxiety comes out of saying, I have created this perfect image of myself, how am I going to keep up to it? So first, can we address it that can you stop taking yourself so seriously? So
Yeah.
if you can't do something, it's all right. Let's begin with that statement
I think there's
first.
a lot of sometimes there's a lot of pressure. I mean, कभी कभी लोग अपने आप से बहुत ज्यादा अपने आप से बहुत again coming back to something like ahimsa, we just कभी कभी बहुत ज्यादा harsh हो जाते हैं.
Then yeah, that is just that's so much of violence on yourself. Because
Yeah.
people who have anxiety also expect a lot from others around them.
Yeah.
And they make everyone, whoever lives with them, makes their life miserable.
Yeah.
Because you have anxiety about yourself, you need something done, and then you want everyone around you to also cooperate with you. And if that doesn't happen, then you are upset again.
Yeah.
So it's your own perception that gets thrown on everybody else. So if we can accept, when I say accept, there's a very fine line in between being lazy and between saying, okay, this is quite a lot that has been achieved and maybe it can stop at this.
But I just like to ask, is there an asana that you recommend for
You
people?
can't just do one particular
Nothing
asana.
one, nothing specific you'd say.
There's nothing one. It's a comprehend, complete. wholesome thing that needs to be done to address it.
Correct. Mm,
Because the anxiety, the depression, yes, the pranayamas can help.
breathing,
The
basically.
pranayamas can help. Yes, yes. The pranayamas can definitely help. The technique to breathe, the very simple as an ujjayi breathing can help.
Right.
Everything helps. So it's not one asana. This is not a quick fix where, okay, this area of my kurta is torn, I can just stitch up this much. It's not possible.
It doesn't work like that.
It's not possible. It's a complete lifestyle change that needs to be done.
Perfect. That sounds like what's real.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ruhi. I know you've had the busiest day today,
Yes.
considering it is your day and it is everyone's day.
And
But
so have you. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I mean,
have
we
you.
all resumed work, right? Look at all this. This is not
Yeah.
happening without work. Otherwise, you see me in my like, I don't know,
Pajamas.
pajamas.
Your PJs.
So
Yes.
yes, we've all resumed work, and I really appreciate you making this time on International Yoga Day to chat with all of us and give us your insights. And I hope that next time we do a session where we actually demonstrate what we do in a class.
Yeah, definitely.
I sorry.
I said definitely.
Yes, that sounds like a plan. So, and thank you for answering so many questions because I'm sure it helps a lot of people who are listening out there.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruhi. Mwah. Thank you guys for everyone who's logged in and asked all the questions. See you guys
Thank you.
soon.
Thank you, Tamanna. Bye. Good
Thank
night.
you, Ruhi. Good night.
Sleep well. Bye.
You too.
See
Bye
you.
bye.